Have you ever really stopped to think about where you come from? I mean, your deep ancestral story, the one that's literally written in your DNA. Well, today we're going to unlock that incredible genetic history of over 1 billion people in India, and we're going to do it with the help of the amazing work of geneticist Dr. Niraj Rai. Let's find out where we really came from.
All right, let's just jump right in. This is a huge question, isn't it? It connects to who we are, our identity, our history, and you know what? It even affects our health today. But the real answer, the scientific one, isn't in some old storybook. Nope, it's written deep inside ourselves, in our genetic code.
You know, to find the answer for India, we have to zoom all the way out. We have to start at the very, very beginning of the entire human story. And that story, as Dr. Rai puts it so simply, begins on one continent, Africa. This is a scientific fact that connects every single person on this planet. So, our journey starts millions of years in the past. We're talking long before any countries, borders, or even cultures that we'd recognize today existed. We're going right back to the shared root of the whole human family tree. Now, look at this timeline. What's absolutely mind-blowing is the sheer scale of it all. For about half of our entire existence as modern humans, every single one of us lived only in Africa. The story of India, of Europe, of Asia, all of that, it's just the latest chapter in our long, long history.
So here's the big question. How did our ancestors make that incredible trek from Africa all the way to the Indian subcontinent? Well, it wasn't some grand planned adventure. It was a gritty, tough story about one thing: survival.
See, it wasn't a straight line on a map. As Dr. Rai explains it, this was a slow, gradual spread over thousands of years. A group would find a good spot, settle down for maybe centuries, and then a crisis would hit. A terrible drought, a new disease, and a small group would have to pack up and move on, searching for a safer place to live, generation after generation. And this brings us to one of the most amazing discoveries from all this research. The most direct descendants of those very first people who walked out of Africa and into India are the tribal populations of the Andaman Islands. Why? Because they remained pretty isolated for thousands of years. Their DNA is like a time capsule. And get this, every single person of Indian origin today carries a piece of that ancient DNA. We're all connected to them. Okay, so that first wave of people laid the foundation, but it's what happened next that turned India into one of the most genetically diverse places on the entire planet. It wasn't just one group. It was wave after wave of people moving, migrating, and, well, mixing. There was this one key moment that changed everything: a massive climate disaster. Just try to imagine a drought so bad it lasts for 200 years. This event was like a giant genetic blender. It forced people from the north to flee south, people from the south to move north, and everyone started mixing in ways they never had before. So, this history of constant movement and mixing, it leads us straight to one of the most powerful findings from all this genetic research. And it's one that might challenge what a lot of us have been taught to believe. I think many of us assume that the practice of marrying strictly within your own community or caste has been around in India forever, for thousands and thousands of years. But what does the cold, hard evidence in our DNA actually say? Well, the genetic data is crystal clear on this point. For most of Indian history, people mixed freely. They married people from other communities, they moved around. The idea of a rigid, separated society just wasn't there. That's the number, about 1,000 years ago. The widespread practice of what we call endogamy, only marrying within your group, is actually, believe it or not, a pretty recent thing. In the huge timeline of Indian history, it only became a strict rule about 1,000 years back. Before that, it was a total melting pot. And look, you don't have to take my word for it. When Dr. Rai, the geneticist who did the research, is asked about this timeline, his answer is simple and direct. This isn't just a theory. It's what the DNA tells us. There's just no genetic evidence for the kind of rigid caste structure we know today before this time. Okay, so we've got this amazing story of migration, mixing, and adaptation. But it makes you wonder, right? If our genes were shaped by our ancestors' world, how is our modern world affecting them? This is where that deep history has some really important lessons for our health today. This is such a cool field of science. So think of your DNA as the blueprint for a house. Epigenetics is like the contractor who decides which parts of the blueprint to use. Your lifestyle, The food you eat, the stress you feel, even your emotions can literally tell your body to turn certain genes on or off. So you see all this biohacking stuff online, right? All these supplements and gadgets. Well, Dr. Rai is a bit skeptical. Instead of looking for some new tech shortcut, he suggests we look back. Our bodies evolved over thousands of years to work best in a certain way, and the closer we can get to that original plan, the healthier we might just be. The main takeaway here isn't about some crazy strict diet. It's a simple idea. Our bodies were designed for a world with natural foods, short bursts of intense activity, and plenty of rest. By trying to line up our modern lives with that ancient blueprint, even in small ways, we can help our genes work the way they were meant to. And in the end, all this science leaves us with one big thought. The genetic story of India isn't about purity or separation. It's a story of constant movement, constant mixing, and a deeply shared ancestry. It teaches us that, really, we are all migrants. We are all mixed, and we are all connected. And that, well, that's a pretty powerful idea for building our future together.